footballers' lives. The demonstrative talents of Carlos Tevez. Wives and girlfriends, do they get enough respect?
Suspension.
And the trials and tribulations of Joey Barton. A show that takes you off the pitch and into a world of glitz, wealth and high drama. This is Footballers' Lives. They say money can't buy happiness, and neither can the glamour, travel and red carpet lifestyle of an international sports star. It is true that most players who live this heady existence seem happy with it, but for some, the attention and the wealth run a poor second to the joys of spending time at home with family and friends. If you're a homebody, a career in a foreign country can become a heavy burden, which is why city life has never sat well with Carlos Tevez. Born in Ciudadela, Argentina, Tevez has earned fame and fortune with 3 English Premier League clubs, but has never given the impression that he was happy at any of them. Especially the third, Manchester City, which he vowed to leave at the end of the 2010-11 season, only to return under sufferance when a deal could not be done anywhere else. Tevez has suffered emotionally since his wife Vanessa took their 2 children back home to Argentina. To be closer to his family, he asked to return to Corinthians in Brazil, even though his first stint with the club had ended badly in 2006.
Very surprised if he doesn't get a yellow card there.
Even when running at he vowed never to return to City, although the irony is that his time with the club has seen him at the peak of his powers. Aggressive, hard-working and skillful by foot and head, Tevez joined Boca Juniors at 16 in 2001, and in 2005 joined Corinthians for £13.7 million, or $22.4 million US. It was the biggest transfer ever in South American football. On a 5-year contract, Tevez abruptly transferred to West Ham just 18 months later in a controversial third-party deal, which helped the club stave off relegation. But when the Hammers were fined over the signing of Tevez and Javier Mascherano, the club which had been relegated, Sheffield United, launched action for compensation. The case was settled out of court, and Manchester United became Tevez's second Premier League club at the start of the 2007-08 season. 2 seasons on loan at Old Trafford were marked by some scintillating play and some glittering silverware, but also plenty of bench time, as Sir Alex Ferguson juggled his star-studded team. Tevez became known for his goal celebrations, and for a while kept a baby's pacifier in his shorts, ready to salute his baby daughter when he scored a goal. But nothing could pacify Tevez when he felt Sir Alex Ferguson and Manchester United were underappreciating his talents.
Carlos Tevez has to keep his nerve here to put Manchester United 2 up, and he does.
Even the fans began chanting for Ferguson to sign him up. Although the club eventually moved to contract him permanently, for Tevez it was too little, too late. And in 2009 he signed a 5-year deal with crosstown rivals Manchester City. He became the first player to switch between the 2 Manchester clubs since Terry Cook in 1999. In Manchester, the transfer dominated the airwaves and the taxi ranks.
He was an absolute gentleman, Carlos Tevez. A proper professional, and it was a disgrace for United to let him go.
Freed from the struggle to get match time, Tevez produced some of the best football of his career this season.
His work ethic is second to none in the Premier League.
His 2 years at United had produced 34 goals in 99 games, while his first 2 years at City produced 52 goals from 81 games. And it seemed he saved his best for his old club.
Here is Tevez. He puts the back of the net up. There was a lot of intent in there.
The Tevez reaction from the penalty was nothing to his blatant shot at Ferguson after notching a double in the first leg of the Carling Cup semi-final.
This is Zabaleta. He was looking for Company. Company with the hook. Tevez! Carlos Tevez does it again. And he's running towards the middle of the field. I think he wants to make a message to Sir Alex Ferguson here.
Tevez was imitating the chant of fans for Ferguson to sign him up.
He wants everybody to know the fact that he's back to haunt Manchester United.
Tevez was made captain in in his second season at City, but he became homesick and requested a transfer in December 2010, citing family reasons and a breakdown in his relationship with individuals at the club. Though he saw the season out, he made it clear he wanted to again switch clubs, and told an Argentine chat show he would never return to City, even on holiday. But after protracted negotiations, the deal couldn't get done, and Tevez reluctantly returned but made it clear he would one day escape City life. Maybe he never grew out of playing at home with friends. But whatever the reason, Carlos Tevez has always seemed so passionate and confident on the pitch, and perhaps just a little uncertain off it. Wags, wives and girlfriends. The role of the good-looking gal on the arm of the handsome athletic footballer has become so much more a part of the beautiful game than it used to be. In fact, the interest in the love interests of the players is directly responsible for the incredible growth of coverage in mainstream media. So maybe the wags deserve a little more respect than they get. Certainly the British government thinks so. A survey several years ago by the Learning and Skills Council found that the stereotype of the wag being all looks and no brains was pretty brainless.
Very often they're seen as just somebody who's pictured on the arm of a footballer, but in fact in their own right they're very successful women. They have qualifications.
The overwhelming number of wives and girlfriends did lead ordinary lives before finding themselves plastered in the papers, pestered by the paparazzi, and just occasionally signing TV and magazine deals. But that doesn't make them dumb, and in some cases it makes them smart. Charlotte Mears, one-time fiancée of Tottenham Hotspur and England star Jermaine Defoe, had some advice for any aspiring wag who thinks it's all a life of champagne and caviar.
I think that the most important thing is that young people have a good education. They go to school, you know, they take their GCSEs, they take their A-levels, you know, they try and do things with their life, and they aspire to have a good education, they aspire to do, you know, have a good career, not aspire to be a wag or to be famous.
Charlotte found herself dumped by Defoe, but it didn't do the one-time shop manager's modelling career any harm. Of course, some wags have such high-profile lives of their own that their partners might even be considered habs, husbands and boyfriends. The most famous wag was arguably much more famous than her husband when they first met. And if Posh Spice, or Victoria Beckham as she now prefers, is the queen of wags, then the heir apparent has to be Cheryl Cole. Ashley and Cheryl Cole were media darlings until the Chelsea and England left-back ran up a Tiger Woods-like string of birdies and was exposed as a footballing philanderer. Pop star, dancer and model Cheryl Tweedy married Cole in July 2006. But in early 2008, the first of a string of kiss-and-tell girls claimed to have slept with the Chelsea star. Initially, Cheryl stuck by her man. But when 4 fresh allegations of adultery surfaced in 2010, it was all over.
Last few weeks it must have been incredibly painful, incredibly humiliating for her. And don't forget, this isn't the first time that these kind of details have emerged about Ashley's private life.
Cheryl, popular for her work as the judge on the X Factor TV talent show, was granted a divorce in September 2010. But after she was dumped from the US version of the X Factor show, it seems the shoulder she turned to cry on belonged to Cole. Soon they were back together, unleashing a fresh bout of media commentary on their private lives. Should she have taken him back or not? With 2 such high-profile people, the relationship is surely a matter of watch this space. Time for trivia now, and back to our story on Carlos Tevez, who in 2011 was joined at Manchester City by fellow Argentinian Sergio Aguero. Knowing that Tevez was unsettled at Manchester City, Aguero decided that when he joined the club he would A. Try to mix with Manchester City fans, B. Try not to provoke Manchester United fans, C. Eat out at a different restaurant each week, or D. Take English lessons. The answer after the break. Welcome back. And Sergio Aguero signed up for 3 two-hour lessons of English every week in a bid to settle into life at Manchester City. City's other Argentinian player, Pablo Zabaleta, told him that learning the language was the key to making the most of his stay. He said Tevez did not improve his English, and that was why he was so unsettled. See, the pitch is just a field, but for a few, it's a canvas. A canvas on which to create a work of art, with vision, style to see solutions and possibilities, with an infectious enthusiasm that makes the game beautiful.
Fantastic finish!
Robin van Persie is such a footballer, describing himself as an artist, with two creative parents who passed on a gene that defines his ingenuity on the pitch. Though he was frequently encouraged to become involved in the arts like his parents, he gravitated towards football instead. Van Persie grew up in a rough neighbourhood of Rotterdam alongside a large immigrant population, and this enabled him to experience many cultures. Brash, arrogant, petulant and something of a troublemaker. That's the reputation he gained at his first big club, Feyenoord, and one he's been trying to shake ever since. Van Persie spent 3 seasons with Feyenoord, winning the 2002 UEFA Cup, and was named the Dutch Football Talent of the Year for the 2001-02 season. He admitted leaving Feyenoord was partly his mistake. Young, ambitious and impatient. Feyenoord was his dream, his home team, but his immaturity and a lack of respect from some of the older players led to a breakdown in the relationship. In the summer of 2004, Van Persie signed a 4-year deal with Arsenal, where he began to make his mark.
Since that first leg, Arsenal scored 9 goals, he's got 6 of them.
Working with players like Dennis Bergkamp and Thierry Henry, Van Persie found it fascinating to discover how they think of it, how they were always 1 or 2 steps ahead of the opposition.
It's another one to put in the portfolio of astonishing Thierry Henry goals.
Van Persie is married to Bouchra, a Dutch Moroccan, and they have a son named Shaquille and a daughter, Dina Leila. His marriage survived a traumatic incident in 2005 when he was falsely accused of rape and spent 2 weeks in jail in his native Holland before being released without charge. He focuses now on his football and on his young family, and with the departure of Cesc Fabregas, Arsene Wenger handed Van Persie the captain's armband. The responsibility of leading others just might prove to be the missing piece in Van Persie's collection of art. Fast cars, celebrity girlfriends, and the red carpet lifestyle is not every footballer's life. For some, there's a difficult road of controversy, confrontation, and courtrooms. But for those willing to persevere and reform, there can be light at the end of the tunnel.
Joey Barton, back from suspension, back from injury.
Joey Barton is one of these, with a rap sheet as long as anybody's in football. But in recent years, he's been making a significant effort to change his image.
Barton goes for it! What a fantastic goal!
Born in Liverpool, his parents separated when he was 14, so he grew up in the care of his father and grandmother. Barton has paid testament to his upbringing, saying that his grandmother's influence helped him to avoid being caught up in a recreational drug culture, and he attributes his positive work ethic to his father. He was a talented sportsman on all fronts, but with a father who played football semi-professionally for Northwood Victoria, his destiny always lay with the beautiful. Barton would have made his debut for Manchester City in 2002, had he not lost his shirt after leaving it on the substitutes bench at half-time. Instead, it was in April 2003, against Bolton Wanderers. And he soon became a mainstay in the Sky Blues first team, winning selection for both the England under-21 and full England team. But in 2005, the life he escaped as a child caught up with him, as he made a public appeal to his half-brother Michael, who was wanted for questioning over a murder investigation.
Although Michael and I were not brought up together, I urge him now to come forward.
Michael was ultimately sentenced to life imprisonment for the racially motivated murder of Anthony Walker. Barton's reputation as a tough tackler soon spilled off the pitch, as he himself began showing up on the front pages of the newspapers. A conviction for assault on Manchester City teammate Ousmane Darboe during training effectively ended Barton's time at City, leading to a transfer of £5.8 million or $9.5 million to Newcastle United in 2007. The second conviction came in 2008. This time, he was sentenced to 6 months in jail for assault outside a fast food venue after a night out in Liverpool. The The FA inflicted substantial fines and playing bans for his offences, though defended the prospect of his future career in football.
When a player has ability and they've paid a lot of money for him, then they may not want to particularly lose that value. They may want to be part of the process to get him back on track and show he's worth the money they paid for him.
Upon his return, Barton blamed alcohol for his trouble and vowed to transform his image to become a role model.
Yeah, I've had a drink since I got arrested for the fight, which ultimately ended up, with me going to jail. So a lot of the time I was getting in, most of the trouble was drinking, so I had to eradicate that from my life, and it's no coincidence that stops, and getting into trouble and being out in nightclubs and getting into punch-ups and that kind of thing sort of goes with it, so it took me a while to see the light.
However, with Newcastle's pending relegation from the Premier League in 2009, Newcastle manager Alan Shearer raised doubts about Barton's future at the club. Upon relegation to the Championship, Shearer left Newcastle and Barton's relationship with the club improved, and his counsellor said that Barton feels very much that he owes the club and the fans.
For me, it's about re-establishing myself and the level of performance I think I can reach. And then, as I say, sort of, whatever comes with that, a bonus.
Barton has since become a patron of the Tamsin Golden Fund, supporting people who have addiction problems, and the Get Hooked on Fishing campaign, designed to keep children out of trouble. He's known to have celebrity friends, including former Oasis star Noel Gallagher and former boxing champion Ricky Hatton, even training with him, possibly to release some of that pent-up aggression in a healthier manner.
You've got to live with that. You've got to get on with it. You've got to sort of say, yeah, I was wrong there, and then try and live your life.
But in 2011, Barton's relationship with his club reached a new breaking point, being transfer listed after he attacked the club in 140 count bursts, his Twitter account fairly shaking with righteous indignation. In the end, it was another acrimonious end as he headed to Queen's Park Rangers for the next step on his colourful journey. More trivia now, and US star for LA Galaxy, Landon Donovan, has had a narrow escape in the past. Did he A. escape the clutches of an alligator while at the IMG Youth Academy in Florida? B. escape the clutches of a kangaroo whilst in Australia for the 2000 Olympic Games? C. escape the clutches of his ex-wife, actress Bianca Kajlic? D. escaped the clutches of angry Algerian fans after his winning goal took the US to the top of its World Cup group in 2010. The answer after the break. Back to footballers' lives and to the colourful career of LA Galaxy star Landon Donovan. Before we give the answer to our trivia question, we should say it is definitely not C. Donovan remains on good terms with his ex-wife Bianca Kajlic, despite their split in 2009 and divorce in 2010. Kajlic, the star of the American television series Rules of Engagement, married Donovan in 2006 and has been credited for much of his marketing success. There was talk of a reconciliation after Donovan's 91st minute goal for the US against Algeria in the 2010 World Cup. He paid tribute to Bianca and blew her a kiss during a television interview straight after the game. Although they remain apart, they are working together to raise money for the Amputee Coalition of America, which is a nice segue into our trivia answer because Landon Donovan very nearly became an amputee. Donovan was attacked by an alligator when he was a 17-year-old member of the US Soccer Youth Development Academy. He was playing golf and his wayward ball landed near what he thought was a rock. Coach John Ellinger screamed a warning just as the rock tried to snap at his leg. "I don't think I've ever jumped so high or moved so fast," Donovan said. "Things could have turned out pretty different if he'd made my feet his lunch." To lives and lists now, and when FIFA announced its lists of players of the 20th century, Maradona won the popular vote thanks to a concerted effort by his Argentinian army of fans. But the experts saw it differently. His outspoken manners often put him at odds with the sports administrators, which is possibly why Diego Maradona was not number one. But he was scorer of the greatest goal of the 20th century, and came in at number 5. At 4, another Argentinian has been described as the most complete footballer in the history of the game. Alfredo Di Stefano was a powerful forward of the 50s and 60s, with great stamina, tactical versatility and vision, who could play almost anywhere on the pitch. Germany's Franz Beckenbauer, or Der Kaiser, comes in at number 3 due to his elegant style, leadership and dominance on the football pitch. He's the only player to captain and manage his country to World Cup wins in 1974 and 1990. In a career spanning 3 decades, Johan Cruyff was the best European player of the 20th century. 3 times Ballon d'Or winner, and one of the most famous exponents of the total football philosophy. Dubbed Pythagoras in boots for the complexity and precision of his angled passes, he was a worthy number 2. Hailed as a national hero, Pelé was and is still known for his accomplishments and contributions to the game, but also renowned for his excellent dribbling, passing, pace, powerful shot-making, exceptional heading ability, and prolific goal-scoring. All the ingredients necessary for the world's best footballer of the 20th century. And with more than a decade since the turn of the century, Footballers' Lives has added its own list of modern-day greats. Cristiano Ronaldo comes in at 5 on our list. At 24, he became the highest-paid footballer in any league, an idol to millions in his homeland Portugal and beyond. There's still plenty of time for him to raise his game to number 1. The youngest star in our lineup, Lionel Messi, is already being touted as the greatest player to ever play the game. He's at 4 in our countdown, as his talents are still to endure the test of time. At 3 is the Brazilian Ronaldinho. He's won everything for club and country. And though his talent has waned in the twilight of his career, he was undoubtedly the best in the world at the peak of his brilliance. Zinedine Zidane retired back in 2006, but as part of the French golden generation, there is no denying his mastery. One of only 2 players hailed 3-time FIFA World Player of the Year, he's been labelled a monster for his playing skills, and the king of what's fundamental in the game. The greatest player to grace the game during the 2000s was Ronaldo, one of the most prolific goal scorers in the world in the late 90s and early 2000s. If it wasn't for knee injuries, there might have been no limits to the records he broke. As the only other 3-time FIFA World Player of the Year, Ronaldo is a worthy number 1.
And a run as well, they jostle for positions in the penalty. Comes the ball! Oh, tremendous save by Reina.
Liverpool goalkeeper Pepe Reina makes a career out of saving, but he saves his best for his family. The son of former Atletico Madrid goalie Miguel Reina, he's a committed husband and father. Reina broke hearts around the world when he married longtime girlfriend Yolanda Ruiz in Cordoba in May 2006. The couple have 2 daughters, Gresha and Alma, and a son named Luca, whose birth in 2011 he shared with photos via Facebook. According to his post on his official site, Mum and son are perfect. Reina may be steely and serious in his role as goalkeeper, but off the pitch he's known for his exuberant, jester-like character, often entertaining his teammates with jokes and songs. Famously acting as Master of Ceremonies at Spain's official celebrations, following the 2008 European Championship and the 2010 World Cup. But he wasn't laughing the morning after one of his other great triumphs, when he pulled off 2 brilliant penalty saves to book Liverpool a place in the Champions League final of 2007. When he returned home jubilant from victory, he found his house had been ransacked while he was away. His Porsche was stolen, later found burnt out. Not even a great goalie could save it. It's enough to make a grown man cry. all for now, but join us again next time on Footballers' Lives.